So I want to tell you about my book, The Martian Cat. The Martian Cat. It's very rare that you will find a book that comes with a mental health warning. This book is kind of a bit crazy. One of the people that read it described it as vulgar, which I thought was actually really appropriate, because the Martian Cat story is trying to dissuade people from the vulgar idea of sending humans to Mars. And so there is a level of satire. Vulgar satire is basically how you would describe this book. Now, that description is probably not going to appeal to a lot of people, so okay, so maybe you can stop listening here. But it is kind of funny. This is a funny book. This story about Charlie Darling and the Martian Cat set on Mars was kind of partly inspired by me having read an author called Tom Sharp. And Tom Sharp had this character called Wilt. I think one of the books was called Wilt on High. And there was these various aspects to that story where there was just this humor that was based around things being kind of gross, if you like, and so that sort of theme or that style of writing finds its way into the Martian Cat. So I'll tell you very briefly the story of the Martian Cat, like, if you like, the plot. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll read you the back blurb, because that lays it out a bit, right? So, The Martian Cat, a vulgar space satire. Handsome space engineer Charlie Darling takes a job at Mars Resort with a cunning plan, but when he arrives on the red planet, it all goes to shit. Making his life miserable is Maddy, the mean-spirited medic and an imbecile Mars plumber. Driven to despair by the grim situation, Charlie finds solace in the Martian Cat, an emaciated feline that's also having a crap time on Mars. On their own, Charlie and the Martian Cat won't survive, but maybe together they will prevail. And it goes on to say that there are bonus features, a glossary of Mars terminology, an author's note, and why I wrote The Martian Cat. And principally, the reason why I wrote The Martian Cat is because I have spent a lot of time reading up on these ideas of sending humans to Mars, and that is the most insane and destructive idea. Partly because of the vast ocean of money that will need to be spent in order to get a single human to Mars, because you've got to pioneer all of the technology to actually have a human survive in space for that duration and come back and la 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 la. So just getting the first human being onto Mars is going to cost trillions upon trillions of dollars. But secondly is this enormous environmental footprint of this infrastructure that's involved in just launching things into space. And right now, the crazy dude, we all know who that is, right, who's pioneering, who wants to have a city of 1 million people on Mars. I mean, if you actually do the math on how many space launches that is and how many tons of minerals, right, it's just an insane ecological footprint on planet Earth. And also, given that the location of his space launch platform is adjacent to beaches where olive ridley turtles, endangered species, nests, and one of the largest migratory wading bird grounds in the United States is basically now being, routinely interfered with by sonic booms and rocket launches. Like, the whole idea of sending like human beings from a planet which is struggling because of human actions to a planet that is dead is about as profoundly stupid as you can actually get. And yet it has a really, really big cult-like following. So the idea of the Martian Cat was to actually sort of strike at the heart of that idea by just sending the whole thing up. And so the whole idea is that when Charlie gets to Mars, the whole everything is just like, it's just, you just don't want to be there. And in amongst it all, somebody has smuggled this cat in that's escaped, the Martian Cat, but because it's not getting fed properly, it's like in a terrible state. And when Charlie finds this emaciated cat, he kind of takes it to heart, and like, you know, Maddy the medic just wants to put the cat into the autoclave so that she can put it into the protein supply. And so this battle of wills endures, and in amongst it all, there is an imbecile Mars plumber wreaking havoc, because you know there's not a lot of use for plumbers on Mars because there's no freaking running water, right? So it's a crazy ass story, and it's pretty funny. And in one of the chapters here, called the Martian Cat Health Analysis, which is where Charlie Darling puts the Martian cat, well, actually puts the Martian cat into a microwave accidentally, because he's supposed to put it into the health analysis device, which looks a bit like the microwave. So after cooking the Martian cat on high for 30 seconds, he realizes his mistake and then gets a full analysis of the Martian cat's health. Well, that chapter actually finds its way into a little stage play that I run every now and then, which is great at parties, because we give a copy of the chapter on people's smartphones, and they can read out the various roles of Charlie Darling, Maddy, and the narrator, and Rachel, the 12-year-old, or the base computer with the voice of a 12-year-old girl. So look, it's a funny old story. I might just read you I'll read you a page, right? Let me read you the opening page. Maybe I'll read you the opening chapter. Let's see how far I go. Let me just give you a page, right? Opens with a chapter called Pouring Down. Heavy rain pummels the taxi that pulls up outside the hotel, its tail lights making the raindrops glow red. The wipers swat water away from the windscreen with the rasping noise of metal against glass. Standing under the hotel awning, wearing a blue jumpsuit and holding a travel bag, is a young man, Charlie Darling. Both the jumpsuit and the bag are branded with the logo of Interplanet, the Mars tourism company. Charlie shakes his head wearily, wondering why the taxi drivers always park so far away when it rains. What is it with the damn cabbies on this planet, he grumbles as he psychs himself to get wet. He raises the Interplanet bag over his head and dashes into the cold rain. As quick as he can, he jumps inside the back seat of the cab, slamming the door shut behind him. He takes stock of how much water his blue Interplanet jumpsuit has taken. He's half drenched. He raises, a normal person would be cranky at having to dash so far in the rain, but not our hero, Charlie Darling. He is one chillaxed dude. His boyish looks and long, wavy black hair that is now plastered over his face from the deluge. Charlie Darling is not the sort of person who stands out from the crowd, but neither is he someone you'd easily forget should you meet him. He has an affable manner and always has something nice to say, even when he's talking to a complete asshole or placed in a challenging situation. Hypothetically, if Charlie Darling were to be set upon by a bad hombre, one who had dug a tunnel under the wall maybe, and then was tied up and dropped into a vat of Martian cat shit, he'd find a positive angle. He'd say something chirpy like, "Oh well, at least it's still warm," or "I'm glad it's not bubonic acid," or "Hey, maybe the next vat's got champagne in it." Charlie's demeanor is so cheerful that it can actually be a bit annoying sometimes. He's also quite bright, and he likes to share his knowledge, so a lot of people think he's a smart ass, when in fact he's just being chatty. In these respects, Charlie Darling is the exact opposite of the surly old cab driver. There you go. I'll leave you there, because you want to know more about the surly old cab driver. You want to know about how Charlie Darling gets to Mars. You want to know how Charlie Darling comes across the Martian cat and what happens next. And you're only going to find that out if you read The Martian Cat. So get on with it.